I want you to imagine, just for a second, two completely contradictory ways to find the meaning of life.
Okay.
Scenario A. You are the classic hero. You're climbing a frozen mountain at the top of the world. You battle storms. You enter a crystalline cave. You meet this mystical silver white wolf.
And you have this mind-bending realization.
Exactly. You realize you are whole. You are the universe experiencing itself. It's epic. It's the story we all want.
It's the absolute peak of the hero's journey, for sure.
Right. But then there's scenario B. You are sitting on a damp bench in a bombed-out gray post-war city. You smell dust and wet wool. You failed at your career.
Fail at your relationship.
You've even failed, and we will get to this, at ending your own life. And you realize you are nothing but residue.
And yet the source material we're diving into today argues that those two scenarios, the godlike mountain peak and the miserable park bench, are actually the same place.
That is the hook that grabbed me. Today we are doing a deep dive into a really unique literary experiment. We're looking at two linked novels, The Architecture of Wolves and The Unbecoming.
And the author's note is explicit. One is the fusion, the energy, the ascent, and the other is the residue, what gets left behind.
It's a fascinating structure. So our mission today is to figure out how these two radically different approaches to the self answer the one question the author seems obsessed with.
Which is, what remains when everything else falls away?
So we have a lot of ground to cover. We're going to start way up high with The Architecture of Wolves.
Then come crashing down to earth with the unbecoming.
And finally, we'll try to stitch it all together to see what this concept of the dance actually means.
It's ambitious, but I think the connection is stronger than it looks at first.
Let's start with The Ascent, The Architecture of Wolves. Our protagonist is Ivar Selden. He's a surveyor.
Right, a man who measures things for a living. He imposes order on the world.
But inside, he's not orderly at all. The text says he has this wolf pacing inside his ribs. It felt almost, I don't know, primal.
It's both primal and metaphorical, but the book treats it as a physical sensation. And his background is crucial here. His father was a timberman who actually warned him about this.
What did he say?
He told him that this wildness, this wolf, would take him away from himself. But for Ivar, the civilized world, the cities and tea shops, it just feels like a cage.
He's suffocating.
Exactly. He's suffocating in the very structure he's supposed to be maintaining.
So to escape that cage, he joins an expedition to chart a massive unnamed mountain. And spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read the briefing, it goes wrong.
Horribly wrong.
His whole team, Brennan, Morrison, Peters, they all die. It's just this cascade of disasters, storms, avalanches.
It reads like a survival horror story.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that's so interesting. Usually the protagonist would turn back.
Of course, or at least just try to survive. But Ivar doesn't.
No, he keeps climbing. And this is where the character shifts from a surveyor into, well, something else entirely.
He continues alone. The text says he's driven by something older than reason.
That's the fusion taking over. In the logic of this book, Ivar isn't just a man climbing a rock anymore. He is shedding all the layers of Ivar the surveyor.
And he gets to the top of the world, finds these strange tracks that are not quite wolf, and enters a cave.
The cave. And we should pause here because the glossary provided with the texts defines the cave as the interior space of transformation.
It's like a threshold.
Exactly. It's where you go to die and be reborn.
And inside, he meets the wolf. And we're not talking about a regular animal. This thing is described as a massive silver white entity with terrible intelligence.
And you're expecting a fight, right? Or maybe the wolf is God.
That's what Ivar expects. He's ready to fight a monster or worship a deity, something external. But the wolf just acts as a mirror.
They have a conversation, which is surreal. But the key is what the wolf actually says. Ivar asks what he's supposed to find up there. And the wolf tells him, what you seek is not in the world. It is the seeking itself.
The seeker is the sought.
Exactly. The big revelation isn't that Ivar has tamed the animal. It's that there is no separation. Ivar is the wolf. That wild part of him wasn't a flaw. It was his truest nature.
It's a total non-duality moment. He realizes the gap he was trying to fill with distance, it never actually existed.
Right.
But, and this is where the story surprised me, he doesn't stay there. He doesn't become a hermit on the peak.
And that's what makes it more than just an escapist fantasy. The integration requires the return. If he stays on the mountain, the realization is, well, it's useless.
So he goes back to the city, he walks right back into the survey office, and his boss, Hargrove, is looking at him like he's a ghost.
Hargrove is the conventional world. He wants to measure the disaster, write the report, get the data.
But Ivar is on a completely different frequency now. He tells Hargrove, the mountain is larger than we thought.
Which is such a great line, because he's not talking about the physical mountain.
No, he just exists within the old world, but he's fully aware now. He's in the world, but not of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the reunion with Margaret, the love interest. She's been waiting, fully expecting him to be dead.
And this scene is so powerful because she expected a broken man, someone with PTSD. Instead, she finds someone who is finally whole.
He tells her he didn't find something new. He just stopped looking away from what was already there.
And they have this beautiful, quiet life. They even climb a smaller mountain together later. And she sort of gets it, too. She has her own little awakening.
She says, it's just this.
It's just this. That phrase is the anchor of the first book. It's the fusion, the self, and the world as one continuous architecture. Even their daughter, Eva, picks it up. She becomes a painter who paints the seeing itself, not objects.
So the architecture of wolves is a story of vigor. It's light, crisp, like pure oxygen. You win by realizing you're the prize all along.
Precisely. It's the ascent, the yes to life.
Okay, so that's the high. Now, I need everyone to mentally prepare, because we are about to leave the pristine snow and drop straight into the gray, smoggy reality of the second novel, The Unbecoming.
It is a jarring transition. We go from the clarity of the mountain to a post-war city that smells of dust and defeat.
And we meet our new protagonist, Oskar Veldt. If Ivar Selden was a man ascending, Oskar Veldt is a man crashing.
Oh, absolutely. He's a former painter. His work was known for suggestive incompleteness, which is some nice foreshadowing, but the war just broke him.
And the story opens the morning after he fails to commit suicide.
And the way it's written, it's almost a dark comedy. He miscalculated the dosage of the pills. He wakes up groggy and just feeling stupid.
It strips away any romance from the idea of death. There's no tragedy, just error. He feels like a ghost. He calls himself residue.
Residue. That word is everything in this book. It's defined as what is left after the fire. Oskar believes he is just the ash left over after his life burned down.
He thinks he's waste material.
So he wanders this ruined, rebuilding city and ends up on a river bench.
Yeah.
And this is where he meets Lena.
Lena is such a compelling character. She sits on that bench reading Schopenhauer, specifically The World is Will and Representation.
Which is, some heavy reading for a park bench.
It is, but there's a reason. She's reading it because her son, who died, used to read it.
That detail just crushed me. Her son died on a roof trying to see the bombers, and now she reads his dense philosophy book just to be close to him.
And she carries his knife in her pocket.
They are two profoundly broken people. It's not a romance in the Hollywood sense. It's a recognition. Lena tells Oskar, we're all residue, aren't we?
And they find this strange comfort. They read Rilke poetry. They talk about how beauty is the beginning of terror. And then Oskar tries to paint her.
This is the turning point of the book.
I think so, too. He tries to paint, but he feels like the connection between his eye and his hand is just severed. He can't paint sharp lines anymore.
You can only paint fog and blur.
He thinks it's a failure. He thinks he's lost his talent. He's looking at the canvas and just seeing a mess.
But Lena corrects him. She looks at the canvas, all those layers of gray and smear, and she says, you've painted what we actually are.
She validates the fog?
Yes. And they titled the painting The Unbecoming. If the first book was about becoming whole, this one argues that unbecoming, losing your identity, your hope, your definitions, is also a path to truth.
There's a scene where they exhibit the painting and a man, it's implied he's a Holocaust survivor, looks at it and says he recognizes it. He recognizes the residue.
It suggests that when you strip away the heroics and the mountain climbing, the truth that remains is this shared brokenness. The blur isn't a mistake, it's the reality.
And the climax of this book isn't some grand battle. It's so quiet. Oskar gets a letter that his estranged sister, Marta, is dying.
And he goes to her. This is Oskar's version of the return. Not as a triumphant wolf man, but as a brother who is afraid, who feels like a failure, but who shows up anyway.
And Marta admits she feared his shadow. But then, on her deathbed, she asks if the dance continues.
The dance. That term appears in both books. It's the continuous movement of existence. And even in this gritty, sad book, Oskar comforts her with that idea, dissolution into the dance.
So The Unbecoming is about the residue. It argues that the fog is the truth.
Right. If Wolves is about finding the self with a capital S, Unbecoming is about realizing that even when the self is destroyed, life continues.
Okay, so let's zoom out. We have the fusion and the residue, the ascent and the descent, the wolf and the fog.
Yes.
The author claims these are two answers to the same question: what persists? But I have to play devil's advocate here. They feel totally opposite.
They do on the surface.
One guy becomes a godlike figure, the other guy is barely holding it together. How are they actually saying the same thing?
Well, look at the trajectory of the ego in both stories.
Mm.
Ivar climbs up to find wholeness. Oskar falls down through suicide attempts and failure to find the essential self. But where do they both end up?
They both end up accepting the present moment.
Even deeper than that. They both end up losing the I. Think about it. Ivar's realization is the seeker is the sought. He realizes he is the mountain. There is no Ivar anymore, just the experience.
And Oskar?
Oskar's realization is that the residue is alive. He stops trying to fix himself. He accepts that he is just dust, but the dust is part of the world. So both the wolf and the fog destroy the ego.
So one finds peace by expanding to include the universe, and the other finds peace by dissolving until there's nothing left to defend.
Precisely. It's the difference between exploding and imploding. Both result in the structure disappearing.
And the love stories mirror each other, too. Ivar and Marguerite find love in a shared seeing. Oskar and Lena find love in, I guess you could call it permission.
That's a great word for it. Permission. Permission to be broken, to fail, to just sit on a bench and not do anything.
Which honestly feels a lot more relatable on a Tuesday afternoon than climbing a frozen peak.
It validates our own struggles, doesn't it? We often think we need to fix our lives. That's the architecture. But sometimes life just knocks you down. Sometimes you are the residue. And this suggests that the residue is just as holy as the architecture.
There's a specific detail in the Unbecoming that I think bridges the gap perfectly. Oskar quotes Rilke.
Yes, superabundant being wells up in my heart.
And he says this while he's miserable.
That's the key. Even in the bleakness, even after the failure, Rilke's superabundant being is there. It's the exact same life force found in the crystalline cave in Wolves. It's just wearing a different costume.
So, whether you are having a mystical experience on a mountain or just trying to survive the grief of a Tuesday, the stuff of existence is the same.
That is a core of the dance. It's not about winning or losing. It's about the movement itself.
It's interesting because we always prioritize the ascent. We want the wolf story. We want to be Ivar.
Of course. But the author seems to be saying that Oskar's path, the path of the fog, is just as valid. It challenges us. We think if we're confused or grieving that something has gone wrong.
We think the fog is an error message.
Exactly. But what if the fog isn't an error? What if the blur isn't a lack of focus, but the only honest way to see the world at that moment?
It's okay to be the residue.
It is, because the residue is fertile. As Lena suggests, maybe the unbecoming is just the first stage of a becoming we can't see yet.
I love that. It takes the pressure off. You don't always have to be building the architecture.
Sometimes you just have to sit on the bench and keep showing up. That's the big lesson from Oskar and Lena. They just keep showing up.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. The glossary from the Unbecoming defines a term that I can't get out of my head. Phantom limb.
Right. In the novel, Lena uses it to describe art and love.
She says that the impulse to create or the impulse to love continues even after the connection is gone, even after the war or the death.
Which raises a really provocative question. If our love for someone who is gone still feels real, or the desire to create beauty persists in a ruined city, does that make those feelings fake? Just phantom sensations? Or does it prove that the thing moving us is older and more permanent than our physical lives? Maybe the phantom limb is the real thing, and the physical body was just the temporary vessel.
The impulse remains, the residue remains.
And the wolf keeps running.
Whether you're climbing the mountain or sitting on the bench, keep your eyes open. You might just see the wolf, or you might see the fog. But either way, you're seeing the truth. Thanks for diving in with us.
It was a pleasure.
Catch you in the next deep dive.